The day she signed the papers and sold me like a commodity, I made a promise to myself. I'll come back. Not to beg, but to bury it all. 3 years ago, I was the CEO and co-founder of Skynova, a rising fintech startup in Chicago. We were on the verge of closing our Series A round with major investors. Everything seemed like the beginning of something extraordinary. It was a time I believed in love, in partnership, and that hard work alone could win. Clara, my fiancée, was someone I trusted completely, both in business and in life. I'm Shane Douglas, 32, born and raised in Chicago. Not from wealth, but I've always dreamed big and dared more. Clara Reynolds, my fiancée and Skynova's PR director, was sharp, charismatic, and always knew how to command a room. Lucas Grant, my old college rival, resurfaced as one of the potential investors. What I didn't realize was that Lucas didn't just want my company. He wanted the woman beside me. And worse, she agreed. They stood together at the board meeting, announcing Clara had signed a revised equity agreement, giving Lucas majority ownership and executive control. I was stunned. All the documents, signatures, seals, they were complete. There was nothing I could do. I looked at Clara. She didn't cry, didn't explain, didn't apologize. She simply turned her face away. Lucas walked up, put a hand on my shoulder and said, "You don't have what it takes to play the big game, Shane. Step away while you still can." I walked out of Skynova's headquarters under the confused stares of employees. I'd never felt so stripped. No company. No dignity. No woman. That night, I drove to the edge of the Michigan River. Rain splattered on the windshield and streetlights blurred. In my hand was the engagement ring I never got to give her. I was going to throw it into the water. But I stopped. Number. This won't be how my story ends. If they dared to trade me to climb higher, I'd build an entire mountain of my own, just so they could watch themselves fall from it. I left Chicago the next morning, deleted all social media, vanished from the financial world. A year passed and no one knew where I was, but I was learning, investing, watching the markets, and planning. 3 years have passed. I'm no longer the Shane Douglas they knew. I'm the CEO of Douglas Holdings, a rising investment empire that buys out companies worth hundreds of millions. And now, I'm back in Chicago. You don't need a gun or a knife to get revenge. All you need is a new name and a strong enough empire, and I can bring this whole city to its knees. 3 years passed faster than I imagined. In that time, I traveled across states, New York, Boston, San Francisco, learning from the best, investing in companies I once only dreamed of. Now, I'm the CEO of Douglas Holdings, a rising private investment firm. Under the alias DH Capital, we control shares in over 27 companies in finance, tech, and real estate. And this time, my first stop is Chicago. Emily Hayes, my assistant and the only person who knows who I used to be. She's my right hand, the one who helped build Douglas Holdings brick by brick. And now, she's the one drawing the playbook for my return. Lucas Grant? Still a spotlight addict, loves handshakes with the elite and smiles like he's never stepped on corpses to get ahead. And Clara, now the chief operating officer of Grant Reynolds Capital, the fund Lucas created after acquiring Skynova. I didn't come back to destroy a company. I came to destroy their illusion of invincibility. The best way? Strike where it hurts, their greed. I know Lucas and Clara are investing heavily in a real estate project named Vallon Point, based in Chicago's West Loop. They've already sunk $15 million into it. I'll pose as a strategic investor, lure them right into the trap. I made my first public appearance at an investor summit as Nathan Cole, a partner from DH Capital. Gray suit, slim glasses, clear New Yorker accent. Lucas gave his pitch on stage. I sat 10 meters away in the VIP section. He didn't recognize me. Clara walked by. No second glance. I requested a private meeting to discuss strategic partnership. I insisted that both Lucas and Clara attend. I said I wanted to feel aligned with top leadership. The meeting took place in a glass-walled boardroom on the 43rd floor of Helios Tower. I sat in the middle, Lucas to my left, Clara to my right. I glanced at Clara. She looked more poised now, hair tied back, eyes sharper. But when I introduced the idea of investing $50 million into Valenpoint, I caught a flicker in her expression. Maybe something in her recognized me. The meeting ended. Lucas was thrilled. Clara remained neutral, but her hands clenched slightly. As she was leaving, she turned and asked, "Have we met before?" I smiled and shook my head. "You must be mistaking me for someone else." On the way back to our office, Emily asked, "She's suspicious, isn't she?" I replied, "Yeah, but that's the fun part. The game only truly begins when they're not sure they're playing it." To kill a king, you don't go head-on. You start with the pawns, mislead the bishop, blind the knight. And one day the king walks right into your trap, never realizing he lost from the first move. After the meeting at Helios Tower, I was officially listed as a potential partner for the Valenpoint project. Lucas sent over a pile of internal documents, eager to prove the project's worth. I rented a temporary office floor right across from their building. Every morning I sip coffee while watching Clara exit the lobby. Cold, proud, distant. She still doesn't recognize me. But I can see something. Under that flawless exterior, she hasn't been sleeping well. Lucas, more confident than ever. He sees me as leverage to attract bigger funds. He has no clue I'm dismantling his empire piece by piece. Clara no longer blindly trusts Lucas. I catch it in her eyes, in her hesitation every time I present a new number. It's doubt. It's discomfort. Emily, always one step ahead, quiet, sharp, and the mastermind behind our first trap. A fake valuation analysis of Valenpoint that looks impeccable on paper. A golden mirage. I know Lucas won't double-check. He'll believe it instantly. But Clara won't. She's asking her finance team to cross-verify the numbers. That's a problem. I can't have her uncover the truth too soon. The game needs to last, to destroy thoroughly. I invited Lucas and Clara to an elegant cocktail event at the Langham Hotel. Officially, it was to meet investors. In reality, it was a test. I made sure Clara sat directly across from me, close enough to read every emotion. Throughout the evening, I told crafted stories. A fake business journey in New York. A tale of a friend betrayed in a startup. She froze. Her hand gripped her wine glass tighter. For the first time, her eyes shimmered, like something inside her was waking up. As the event ended, Clara approached me, her eyes searching mine. "You know, your story sounds eerily similar to someone I used to know." I smiled faintly. "Did he survive?" She replied, "I don't know. I never saw him again after I left him behind." I said nothing, just raised my glass, looked her in the eye. No blinking, no hiding. After that night, Clara went silent. No messages, no meetings, but I knew she was thinking. And silence. That's proof enough. Lucas, on the other hand, was ecstatic. He called me near midnight, bragging about new funds eyeing Valenpoint because of DH Capital's interest. I nodded. Good. The more players, the better the domino effect. I stood by the glass window, watching Chicago's city lights flicker. Every tower looked alive. But I knew it was all facade. Inside, one of the city's largest empires was crumbling, and they still didn't know. The man tearing it down was the one they once sold. Some wounds never bleed. They just lie dormant, until an old pair of eyes looks at you and says, "I remember you." 2 weeks after the Langham event, Chicago's investment scene was heating up. The name Nathan Cole, my alias, was everywhere on financial news. Lucas leveraged that fame to inflate Grant Reynolds Capital's value. Everything was going exactly as planned. Everything, except Clara. One Friday afternoon, I received an email from her. Short, formal, cold. "Mr. Cole, I'd like to discuss Valenpoint privately. Meet me at the Windsor Bar, 8 p.m. Emily warned me not to go. I smiled. The more dangerous it gets, the more fun it is. Clara, still the same woman, except her eyes carry weight now. Not the confident stare of a corporate executive, but the haunted gaze of someone who lost something irreplaceable. Me. I'm no longer Shane Douglas. I arrived as Nathan Cole, black suit, silver watch, confident smile, and a heart sealed shut. Emily, my silent shadow, watching from afar. When I entered the Windsor, Clara was already there, sitting by the corner table. Jazz murmured softly in the background. She looked up, and for a second, something in her gaze made me forget to breathe. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I wanted to ask about the documents you sent. There are inconsistencies I can't ignore. I knew this wasn't just a business meeting. It was an interrogation in disguise, and if I missed a beat, the mask would crack." We talked numbers, markets, risk factors. But between the sterile dialogue there were pauses, too long to be casual. She asked, "Where did you work before New York?" "I ran a small fintech company." "What was it called?" I smiled, sipped my drink, and said, "It went bankrupt." No point bringing up the dead. She looked at me for a long time, nodded slightly, but her eyes didn't believe. As I stood to leave, she reached into her bag and placed something on the table, a small object. The engagement ring. The same one I held in that rainstorm 3 years ago. I've kept it. All this time. I froze. The world went silent. "You're Shane, aren't you?" she asked, voice trembling. I looked her in the eyes and said calmly, "No. Shane Douglas died 3 years ago." Then I turned and walked away, leaving the ring, and a grave I never managed to bury. That night I came back to the office late. Emily looked up, concern in her eyes. "She knows?" "I think so, but she didn't say it. She's hurt, not angry." Emily was quiet for a while, then asked softly, "Are you sure revenge is all you want?" I didn't answer, just stared out the window. Chicago's city lights blurred in the rain. I opened my drawer, pulled out the final Valenpoint contract. The signing was 2 weeks away. After that, Lucas would fall hard. My fingers brushed the ring in my pocket, the one Clara left behind. "3 years ago you sold me out. This time, I'll show you the price of loss. Something money can never buy." Sometimes you don't have to push someone off a cliff. Just let them walk confidently to the edge, and they'll fall on their own. 2 weeks before the official signing between DH Capital and Grant Reynolds Capital, Valenpoint was being hyped to the extreme. Media outlets called it a historic pivot, a project that could reshape Chicago's real estate market. Financial magazines plastered Lucas and Clara's photos, grinning like they just unlocked a billion-dollar secret. And I, Shane Douglas, behind the mask of Nathan Cole, was the silent engine fueling that fantasy. Lucas Grant, smug, arrogant, and utterly blind to the storm coming. Clara Reynolds, quiet now, more cautious, but still signing the papers, still playing the perfect COO. Emily, tracking every phantom dollar we planted into the fake Valenpoint model. She knew exactly how many seconds it would take to collapse. The only problem now isn't the plan. It's Clara. I sense hesitation. Maybe it's guilt, maybe memories, or maybe instinct. But if she acts prematurely, the entire board flips. I need her to sign one last document, an internal finance verification. It's part of the official package Lucas is submitting to the SEC, and once signed, it locks him in. I invite Clara to a thank you lunch at a high-end Italian restaurant. Between soft violin strings and red wine, I place the papers before her. "This is the last step before signing," I say. "Just a standard capital transparency verification." She pauses, then asks, "What if I don't sign?" I look at her, hold the silence. Then, the deal falls apart. Lucas loses everything. As for me, I just walk away, like I did once before. She says nothing, then quietly signs. 2 days later, I get word. The full filing has been submitted. And just as expected, 48 hours after that, the SEC begins investigating Valenpoint's funding lines. Emily calls me at midnight. 3 words. It has begun. The storm had been unleashed. Lucas calls me the next morning. His tone is calm, but I can hear the panic between his breaths. They're asking for original ledgers. Seems a few numbers aren't aligning. I pretend to be surprised. How odd. Perhaps Clara's accounting team should take another look. Silence. He hangs up. I stood alone in the boardroom. Sunlight touched the surface of the signed contract. I whispered, "No stabbing needed. Just place their hand on the blade and let them drive it in themselves." Some cracks are too small to notice, until the entire mountain collapses, dragging down everyone who thought they stood safely at the top. 3 days after the Valenpoint documents were submitted, the SEC issued a formal investigation. The news spread like wildfire. Finance channels ran non-stop updates. Grant Reynolds Capital's shares plummeted 14% on the first trading day. Investors panicked, partnerships collapsed, and headlines screamed, "Valenpoint, a breakthrough or the biggest scam in Chicago." The game could no longer be stopped. Lucas Grant, no longer smug, now a wounded animal, clawing through every phone call, every lawyer meeting. The more he fights, the deeper he sinks. Clara Reynolds, pushed into the spotlight as the final signatory. To the media, she's the financial enabler, the face of negligence. Me, Shane Douglas, on the sidelines. But really, I lit the match. I know Clara isn't the mastermind. She's just a piece, like I once was. But this time, my silence is killing her slowly. Photos of her leaving the SEC go viral. Puffy eyes, broken posture. Investment groups blacklist her. Lucas offers no defense. Worse, he throws her to the wolves. And the question remains, do I let her drown or reach out? I asked Clara to meet at a quiet cafe uptown, somewhere no one would recognize us. She arrived late, thinner, pale, like someone who'd lost all armor. She sat, eyes lowered. "You planned this from the beginning, didn't you?" Silence. "Fine. Take Lucas down, but don't kill me with him." Her voice cracked. Her eyes watered. She wasn't fighting anymore, just breaking. She placed a folder on the table. Internal emails from Lucas instructing fake numbers with signatures. "You need this to bury him. Take it. Just let me disappear." I flipped through the pages. Bulletproof evidence. The final blade I needed. I asked, "Why help me?" She replied, "Because you were the only one who ever loved me. And I betrayed you." For the first time in 3 years, I didn't know whether to hate her or hold her. The next day, I anonymously forwarded the evidence to the SEC. Lucas was summoned within 72 hours. 2 weeks later, indicted on 7 financial crimes, facing up to 15 years. Clara was cleared, officially listed as the cooperating witness. No more headlines, just silence. And me? I left Chicago, again. On the plane out, I scrolled through images of Valenpoint, once the bait. I deleted every related email, pulled out of DH Capital, left everything to Emily. The game was over. And I needed to find whoever was left under the ruins. I didn't need to see him in prison stripes to know I'd won. I just needed to see his eyes. Afraid for the first time. The federal trial of Lucas Grant was held in Manhattan, New York, the same city where he once threw million-dollar parties. Now, it would decide his fate. The trial was broadcast live across national TV. It wasn't just a financial scandal anymore. It became a symbol of corruption, of greed, of how invincible empires crumble from within. I didn't attend. I watched from a dark room behind a screen. A silent witness. Lucas Grant, the man who took everything from me, now in a pale gray suit, gaunt face, sitting under fluorescent lights. No arrogance, just emptiness. Clara Reynolds, the lead witness. Dressed in a plain white shirt, no makeup, but for the first time, I saw strength in her. Emily, beside me, saying nothing. We both knew. The board was clear. This was just the counting of the dead. Lucas's lawyer claimed he was misled by accounting teams, that he didn't know about the falsified numbers. Then Clara took the stand, her voice steady. I signed the papers, but Lucas wrote the first draft. No murmurs, just a collective inhale. As everyone realized, the game was over. For 3 hours, Clara read emails, recalled secret meetings, and laid out the entire internal laundering mechanism of Valen Point. No tears, no shaking. Every word was a scalpel, cutting through the mask Lucas wore for years. Me, watching from the screen, felt something rupture in my chest. Relief, grief, or maybe just closure. The judge's verdict. Lucas Grant, on 7 counts of financial fraud, conspiracy, and market manipulation, sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. No parole. Lucas stood, didn't fight, bowed his head, silent. I looked into his eyes, blank, broken, and I knew. I had nothing left to take from him. Clara was declared innocent. Her cooperation and evidence earned her immunity. But I knew. The price she paid wasn't legal. She lost her reputation, her career, a part of herself. And me? I never reached out. We, the last 2 survivors, chose to walk away from each other. The day after the trial, I received a parcel. No name, no sender. Inside, a single handwritten note. If you really are Shane Douglas, thank you for not letting me die with him. No signature. I folded the note, slipped it into my wallet, and walked out of New York for the last time. Forgiveness isn't about whether they deserve it. It's about whether I want to stay trapped in my own fire. 6 months after the trial, I live in a quiet coastal town in Oregon. No media, no corporations, no past chasing after me. Douglas Holdings is now fully run by Emily. I hold shares but stay out of the business. Each morning I drink coffee in silence. No plans, no revenge, just breathing. Alive. Emily, now the CEO of Douglas Holdings. She texts occasionally. She never says much, but I know. She was the one who kept me from falling off the edge during those 3 years. Clara. I hadn't heard anything since her letter. But one evening, Emily sent me a link. Watch this. Maybe you need to see it. It was a video. Clara, now a lecturer at a community college in Austin, Texas, speaking to students about ethics in investment. She smiled. Calm. At peace. I didn't expect it, but I cried. I know I can't go back, can't start over like nothing ever happened. But I also know, if I don't learn to forgive, not her, but myself, I'll never be free. I won, but I lost the cleanest part of myself. I want to find it again. Not for anyone else. For me. I wrote an email, very short, sent to the public contact of her college. Not to apologize, not to reconnect, just, I saw you living well, and I, finally, am learning how to do the same. No name, no expectation. A week later, I got a reply. Thank you for seeing me, the first time and the last. I hope you live fully, not for revenge, but for peace. See, just see. But I knew. For the first time since it all began, I felt light. I started drawing, bought pencils, watercolors, sketchbooks. At first it was just scribbles, then memories. Sky Nova's office, Helios Tower, the ring on a wooden table. I didn't need success anymore. Didn't need more money. I just needed to live, truthfully, with myself. One early summer morning, I walked along the beach. Soft waves, gentle wind. I saw a little boy struggling with a paint palette, sitting on the sand. I sat next to him and smiled. Want a real brush? He looked up, curious, and I knew. Maybe I can't return to the past, but I can begin, at a different door.